Today is day 2 of working on this custom ordered top. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, you should definitely go back and check that one out. In part 1, I worked on making the front and back panels, and today for part 2, I'm going to be showing how I connect them and how I make the sleeves. So for the front and back panels, I did 5 repeats of this solid double crochet and this mesh stitch with a wide opening at the top here for the neck. So now my next step is I need to decide how big I want the armholes to be and figure out where I want to seam the sides up to. So like I mentioned in part 1, I did make a version of this first and then had to take it out. So I already have a pretty good idea of where I want the armholes to start. So I want them to be 2 sections tall. I'm just going to show the one so it's a little bit clearer. So I want the armholes to be 2 sections tall, which means I'm going to seam up the sides 3 sections. I just prefer to start and end it on a solid section, just makes it a little bit clearer for me. So I'm going to pin the sides where I want to seam them up, and I'm just going to stitch them together. So I stitched up the one side, so I'm just doing a little try on to make sure that it fits where I've stitched it up to and that I like the size. So with this on, it is just slightly tight on the arm here, so I think I'm going to go down just to the bottom of this line and just take out like a couple stitches just to make it slightly bigger. And then I'm just going to repeat it on this side, and the shirt part will be done, and then I'll just need to start working on the sleeves. Alright, so I just finished attaching it on both sides, and this is what we're looking like. So I think it's looking good so far. The arms have, I think, a good amount of room. They're not too tight. Right now it just looks like a weird little vest, but it's gonna look so cute once it has the sleeves, because that's what makes this one so, like, pretty. Alright, so moving on to the arms, we need to attach our new yarn now into the armhole. I prefer to attach mine at the base of the arm, just in case there's any seam at all. It's underneath the arm and not on top, so it's a little less visible. So I always do this by making a slip knot to attach it. So I make the slip knot, I chain 1, and then I tie a knot to secure it, just to make sure that none of these ends have any chance of falling out. So then to start the arm, I start my arms by doing a solid row of double crochet first, same as how I did the other sections. I always start and end the sections with a solid double crochet row, and I find putting 2 double crochet for each row works the best. So for each row here, it's going to be 2 double crochet, and that I find keeps it fairly even. So I'm just going to go around with my double crochet, and then I'm going to continue on with the pattern of 1 double crochet row, 4 mesh rows. And I'm going to continue this for a bit of the arm until I want to start extending it and making increases. So I'm probably going to do rows until about my elbow or just past my elbow, and they're just straight rows, and then probably around here, like a bit in between my elbow and my wrist, that's when I'll start doing the increases to make the big bell sleeves. Alright, so I've just finished off the straight part of the arm. So I did 4 repeats to get it to the length that I wanted. So that's about where it hits on my shoulder. I know this is a bad example, but it hits just past my elbow, right in the middle, which is where I wanted it to end. And so now I'm going to start on the increases. And to do the increases, it's very simple. All we're increasing is the amount of chains in between each double crochet on the mesh stitches. So for our normal mesh stitches, we did 2 chains in between each double crochet. For each row that we are doing an increase on, we're going to add 1 chain. So the next row, we're going to do 3 chains in between it. The row after that, we're going to do 4, 5, 6, and then when we get to our double crochet row, we'll need to make sure we put the same amount of double crochets as there is chains in that section. So as you can see, I ended off on a double crochet row, so I'm going to start my first decrease. So typically we would chain 2, so I'm going to chain 3 here, but only skip 2 spots. I'm still putting my double crochet in the same spot. So this is going to slowly widen up the sections, and it's going to make each mesh section start to spread out. And then this is going to give a very nice big bell sleeve, and at the end it's going to give us a bit of like almost a ruffled edge or a bit of like a scallop edge. So I'm going to do this row with 3 chains in between each one, and then I'll meet you guys back here after I finish off this row. Okay, so that's what we're looking like after the first increase row. There isn't much of a difference yet, but it's going to slowly spread out, which is going to look good. So the next 3 rows, I'm going to repeat the mesh stitch, each one with an added chain. So I'm going to do 4, 5, and 6, and then I'm going to meet you guys back here for the double crochet row and show exactly how many stitches I put in that section. Alrighty, so this is after doing 4 rows of the mesh increases, and you can see it is really starting to increase now, and we're getting this kind of ruffly scallop almost look with these chains. So on the next row of just solid double crochets, I'm going to put the same amount of double crochets as there are chains. So in each space I left up on 6, so I'm going to make sure I put 6 double crochet in there and continue to do 1 double crochet on top of each one here. So that is what one section looks like. So it's very full and solid, just like the regular rows, but it's going to keep the increased width. And then after I do that solid row, I'm going to continue and do 4 more increase rows. So they're going to be 7, 8, 9, and 10 chains, and then I'll end off on 1 solid row of the double crochet again. And I think I'm going to put 10 in there, but I will confirm that when I get to that row, because I might end up putting 11 or 12 if I want it to be a thicker ruffle. We'll see what looks good at that point. Alright, I finished off my solid double crochet row. It's looking really nice. I forgot to mention that on the next row for the next set of mesh stitches, you do need to make sure you skip all of the middle stitches. So we'll do like our double crochet, chain 7, and then skip all 6 there and put our next double crochet here, just to make sure we are following that mesh pattern. So I'll do one and show you guys what that looks like. So chain 7, and then I'm going to put my double crochet on top of the same one. So you can see that way our mesh stitch is carrying up the same way as it was on the previous section. And now I'll continue the rest of it. Alright, I'm just starting on my last row of solid double crochet. So I ended off on 10 chains, and I decided I am going to put 1 extra double crochet. So I'm going to do 11 double crochets in each 10 chain space. So that's what it's going to look like. As I do them, I do need to space out the double crochets a little bit just to make sure they're not all bunched up. I'll show you guys what it looks like when I first do it. Okay, so when I first finish it, it's just a little bit squished like that. So I just kind of space out the double crochets so they're a little bit more even and they don't have like a big hole on either side. And it just makes it look a little bit better. So I'm going to continue that, and then my one sleeve will be done, and I just will need to do the same thing on the other side. Okay guys, I have officially finished the top, so let me show you. The sleeves are so perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. The flowy, ruffly, scalloped edge. It is perfect. I got the length to basically exactly where I planned as well. So I think this is going to be perfect for my aunt who ordered it. This isn't a top that I personally would wear because I just don't like the actual top part. I would just trim it and just do just the sleeves. So that's the look that I prefer. But I am so happy with how this turned out. It's awesome. The only other step I need to do is just steam it to loosen up the stitches a little bit. So hopefully I can get that done before I need to get this sent over to her. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing me make this and learned kind of the process on how I make these. If anyone is interested in an actual pattern where I can show you step by step how to do each part of it, absolutely let me know because I would love to make one for you guys. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you didn't see part 1, definitely go back and check that on how I made the front and back panels. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for more videos. I post new videos every week on Fridays. Thanks, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.